Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome back to the Kingdom of Ventia, where today we're going to continue on building the ruined castle that I started building in the last episode. So grab your snacks and drinks and make sure to drop a like on the video, and let's just get right into it, shall we? Oh yeah, once again we're back, and today I want to start off by remedying a problem that I've been having. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to continue on the castle here and start building the parts that are down here, but before we get into any of that, we've been building on the other side of the valley here for the past few episodes, and while we've been decorating with all these flower fields and building a few houses, there's a little greenery that's missing. You know, this side's looking all nice and greenified, but we need to give this side the same treatment and build some trees. And you know what, it's been kind of a while since we did a conventional intro time-lapse, so without any further ado, let me just grab my blocks and we can get right into this one. Oh yeah. And so starting this one off, it's been quite a long time since we did a proper intro time-lapse. Not only that, it's been a really long time since we did a Naturifying tree intro time-lapse. And so first off, I figured that this area where we have the painter painting the castle on the other side of the valley needs a little bit of a grove. And so not only did I build some trees, I decided to use some of the new blocks, particularly the glow berries, to light up underneath the trees instead of using lanterns. I think it's kind of important that you include areas like this in your world so that you get a little bit of change of scenery as you're walking around through it. But moving on here, I decided to try my hand at building a few more spruce trees. You guys really liked it when I built one last time, and we only have one in the entire valley, so I definitely need to build a lot more of them. And I decided to build this one on a slight angle for whatever reason, which made it a lot harder, but I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out in the end. I then moved on to everything that's to the right of the trees that we built right now, so everything on the top level to the right of the grove, and then everything to the right of this spruce tree I just built. And so using a lot of the different leaf types, just so that we have a bunch of different types of green in the area so it doesn't all blend together. I built a bunch of these smaller trees, and I'm really in love with the ones I built with azalea. I just think that's a very pleasant green color, and it also has those little purple flowers that look really cute. And as the last few trees are getting built here in the intro time-lapse, you guys are definitely going to have to tell me how you feel about the trees in the comments down below, and if we should add these variants to the other side as well. There are still a few trees we need to build over there. But personally, I'm super happy with the changes we've made, and it's really brought this side of the valley to life. But for now, I will see you guys on the other side. All right, here we are back on the other side, and I am personally loving how this looks. I actually really love this tree that I built on an angle like this. But as you guys can see, we have a lot of areas right here that we need to still put trees. I mean, pretty much all these empty areas need to be bushed up, but I think that's looking really cool over there. I love how the spruce trees blend in. They really break up the green. And I think this side is going to look super awesome when we have more of the trees coming up, and maybe some up towards the peak of the mountain as well. And I know I do way too much flying around in this series, and I need to show you guys what things look like from the ground, but I love how this tree sort of overhangs right here. And the trees provide a sort of natural railing as you're walking up the side of the cliff here, because you really wouldn't want to fall off here in real life. And as for the grove section up here, I really enjoyed using these glow berries instead of lanterns. As you can see, I used some string just so that they won't grow all the way down to the ground, but I think they add a splash of lighter green that this place desperately needs, and the yellow doesn't hurt either. And so going forward, obviously we need to give the same treatment to this whole area over here. And on that note, there's a lot of this texturing we need to do all over the mountains here where we only have stone. Yeah, that's going to take a lot of time, but hey, at least it'll make a good intro time lapse. But you know what? I think it's time we move on to the castle project here, and I think we're probably not going to get the whole thing done today, but hopefully we're going to get as much as possible done. I'm thinking this side over here. Now, if I recall, I think I used most of my deep slate up in the last build. Yeah, that's like all I got. So we definitely need to go get some more deep slate first. And something I've done off camera is connect up a nether portal over to a 1.17 area. And I don't exactly have the best way to get over there, like it's a lot of dangerous flying in the nether. Uh-oh, no. Okay, at least the hoglin can't get in here. Yeah, this is the part that I meant about the tunnel being really dangerous. Not today, Mr. Hoglin. Not today. Yeah, I need to do something about this tunnel. Anyway, this is where we spawn over here in the new 1.17 area up in the air. And as you can see, I've set up a beacon and a little trading area. And ooh, there's a wandering trader. Do you have drip leaf? Aw, no drip leaf. Come on, buddy. Wait, seriously? Another one spawned right as I relieved him of his services? Do you have a drip leaf, please? Okay, yeah, this is no good. Anyway, as you can see, I've been doing a lot of digging. So we got some stone, we got some cobbled deep slate here. Actually, ooh, we got a pretty nice supply. We've also got quite a bit of ore, some diamonds, but coming down here, we need to do a bit of TNT digging. Now, deep slate is pretty annoying to collect since you can't insta-mine it with a haste 2 beacon, so I've had to resort to some desperate measures. And to be perfectly honest, it works wonders. You just start blowing something up, then you go over place another TNT, you go back and collect your blocks, and after 15 minutes, you've got a few shulker boxes. And I didn't mean for this to be a guide on the best way to gather deep slate, but this is the way I've been using so far, and let me know if there's a better way to mine this stuff in the comments. As you can see, I've pretty much wrecked this place. There's a bit more deep slate to be gathered, so I might do some more gathering by hand, but for now, I think we actually have enough materials to start building the castle, especially since we're going to be texturing it. And so what is the plan here today? Well, I definitely want to get this tower done and this structure over here. And so I think we're going to start with the tower, and what I was thinking here is that we do a similar tower to this one over here. In fact, almost the exact same one, except we're going to do the ruined version. And so let me just do a little bit of building here, and I will come back to you guys as soon as we start doing some ruining. Okay, here we have it. As you can see, I didn't do the top part yet because it's going to be super ruined, and I kind of want the top part to be lying down here. I think that could look really cool. But for now, before we get into any texturing or further ruining, I think I want to start on this side over here, and this building is going to be very damaged. Okay, so I want this building to look really, really ruined, but first we're going to have to connect it up with a wall to this thing over here. Now, the way I want to do this, I kind of want to make it look like a big fireball has just busted through here and broken down the whole thing, because in my fictional universe here, there's magic and dragons and all kinds of things that could have devastated this castle. And so step one is going to be connecting this up to up here. Alrighty, as you can see, we now have this wall sloping down like this, and as I start building this building over here, or at least just the outer walls, and so I want it to look like we have a half circle shape torn out here from a big fireball or something like that. So what I'm going to do is start building up the shell of the other side here, and I'll be right back with you guys as soon as that's done. Alright, this is pretty much the shape I'm going to be going for. We definitely need to get the texturing in here because it's looking kind of strange, all the same color like this. However, I think we can add a few details before we get into the texturing that's going to make this a little bit easier for us. Now, last time we built this part over here, and the least ruined part of it is this tower, and I guess it doesn't really make sense for the most aesthetic tower to not be ruined, but that's why we've got this corner right here as well. I want to put some kind of tower here. And yeah, does it make sense that it's not as ruined as everything else? Not really. I mean, they would probably go for the towers. And I just think it's going to look a lot cooler if we have some castle elements still present in our ruined castle. And so what I'm going to do here is actually pretty much the same thing as over here with these little side towers on these buildings. And once again, while the other towers are a lot more colorful than this one, we're going to use a lot of the ruined blocks and the same palette as everything else just to show how overgrown it's become. I also noticed that I really need to repair my elytra. Like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to make it to the repair station. So what do we think about this without trying to fly too much? Yes, I think that looks awesome. That makes it look a lot more castle-y. Okay, let's see if we can actually make it over to the villagers. What do I have? Oh, 13. It's gonna be close. There have been times before where I didn't quite make it over here and I just sort of fell to my doom. Alrighty, my wings are all repaired and this is the view we have now. I think that looks awesome. It's gonna look even better when it sticks out more as we have all the texturing just like up here. But I also love how these two towers now look kind of the same, and we are going to add a little bit more up here. But overall, it's looking really cool and castle-y so far. And I mean, I've always really enjoyed the view from over here exiting the milling village, but I think this looks so awesome. The world just keeps getting better and better. Now, the last part we got to do before we can get into texturing and doing stuff is just connecting this wall up to, well, the cliff face. And I'm thinking perhaps we'll make this wall a little bit more intact than the other ones. Since if this part didn't get ruined, well, then this little corner probably wouldn't either. And maybe we could have a little tunnel through the mountain here going up to there. I think that could be cool. But for now, something super simple just like that is going to have to do it. I think that's fine. All right, so next up, I want to worry about these parts, and I've got kind of a solution to our problem here. Because obviously, we can't just keep it like this. There would be rubble falling down into here, and so I think we're just going to use a little bit of this tuff and mix in some cobblestone, and this could look really cool. So let's just texture some of this stuff in and maybe pop in some slabs as well and see what we can come up with. How about that? I think that looks super awesome, and that segues right into us having to do the texturing. But before we do that, we actually have to do the ruining of this castle over here because it's looking a little bit too perfect. So the first thing I want to do here is try to make some kind of ruined structure stick up. Now I kind of want it to hang over itself a little bit. I'll show you what I mean. See, now it looks like a very ruined tower. Although I am going to bulk it up just a little tiny bit. Okay, I've bulked it up a bit, and now it's time to ruin a few sections, like maybe right here we'll have some stuff falling down, and especially on the other side since, well, this part of the whole tower is missing. Not the most damage right here, but at least a bit of a hole. And then on this side, I think we want to take out a really sizable chunk. And once again, it feels pretty strange to just tear down something you literally just built. You know, now we're really starting to get places, but I think I want to tear some bigger holes into this thing. Like for instance, where we have this window. Yeah, that's a pretty decent sized hole. I think we could do something similar on this side too. Okay, so far that is pretty perfect, but we do need to texture it up, so let me grab my blocks and get right into that texturing time lapse. Oh yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all the texturing and naturifying is finished, and I'm a little bit unsure if I'm going to keep this as tall as it is. I might make that a bit shorter, but for now, I'm actually really happy with this because we're going to turn this whole courtyard into an overgrown mess right here. But while you're standing here, you actually get a great view of all the fields and the milling village, and I just think this is a really cool touristy part of the hiking trail where you can walk off, look at the ruins, and see a great view while you're at it. Also, maybe if we turn up our render distance like a lot, and I'm not sure if my computer is going to enjoy this, but I mean, just look at that in the distance. You got the church and the big castle over there. That's how close it is, by the way, but that is looking so awesome. Okay, we're turning it up to 42 chunks. I mean, we're sitting at 30 FPS. This is actually playable. Okay, if we move around, it starts to get really, really framey, but theoretically, right, in real life, you'd have a really, really nice view from here. And I mean, as soon as we got the spawn project here finished, maybe a few ships in the ocean, this is going to be the best viewing spot in the whole world. Anyway, as you may have noticed in the time lapse there, I started dotting around a little bit of this crying obsidian right here and some black stone. And the reason for that is that the magical blast would have come through right here, and I figure this is just a little bit of magical remains. Just because this purpley stuff that emits particles is pretty much the closest thing to magic we get in Minecraft. Now, the one thing I'd like to do today before we call it quits is add some rubble in a few places. Okay, so let's just think about this for a second. This would have fallen from there. I mean, honestly, it would probably be like right here. It would have followed the cliff, but I think just for dramatic sake, we'll put it right here. And my plan for this section is actually to have a bit of a forest down here, which we'll build in an intro time lapse later, probably while working on spawn. So this way we'll have some of the ruins down here in the forest as well. Now, aside from the fact that we could have just rubble sort of falling down like this, I kind of want to try to build something. Oh boy, it's going to be really hard to build on sort of a diagonal like this. Now look, am I entirely sure how this would have actually happened? No. But does it look pretty cool? Yeah. So we're just gonna go with it, okay? You know, if anything, it's a really cool excuse to use a lot of the Naturify blocks, and I personally love the Crimson Fungus. I think they look so good to break up all the different greens. Okay, so I started to do a little bit more, and as you guys can see, you pretty much get the idea here of what I want to try to do. Have these pieces of the castle that have fallen down just sort of stick out, and I think it looks a bit more dramatic when they're sticking up out of the ground like this and not just lying in a pile of rubble. Because the point of this, right, is that the player's going to come from spawn, and you're going to walk this path to get to the kingdom, and you're going to be like, huh, what's this? Maybe a castle broke down? Oh, I got to visit that later. Speaking of which, we definitely need to add some of this wall down here. And I think it could look cool just to have it look like this. We obviously need to texture it up a bit, but maybe we should have some on the lower layers as well. Now we just got to naturify the area a little bit, and it should be looking great. Okay, did I go overboard with the pink flowers? Maybe a little bit, but I think it looks really cool. We still need to texture up the walls here a little bit, much like all the other ones, to be honest, but I think this is pretty good so far. Now, the final thing I want to add to this place is a few trees, because we don't have a single tree over on this side. Well, I guess we have those over by spawn, but we don't have any trees. So let's decide where we actually need some. I think over here is a prime spot for a tree. We don't really want to block the tower here, but maybe right here. We won't make it too tall. Okay, that's tree number 1. Pretty happy with that. I think we can put another one next to it. Maybe we'll make this one a little bit smaller this time. Yep. I think maybe if we put 1 or 2 down here, maybe 1 over there and 1 in the back. Like, what if we put a fairly decent sized spruce tree right here? Have no fear, Fat Christmas Tree is here. Yeah, you know, this one turned out kind of chunky, but I think it's gonna look pretty cool from over here. Yep, I certainly like that. We're certainly getting there, ladies and gentlemen, and for now, I think I'm pretty much running out of time for this one, but in the next episode, I certainly want to finish this so that we can move on to future projects, but it's gonna be awesome to have this thing finished. However, I know a lot of you guys really want the tutorial for the castle, and so the next video I put out is gonna be the block by block tutorial, and for the next few episodes I'm gonna be alternating the block by block tutorial and the let's play here, so look out for that. And chunky tree. But for right now, ladies and gentlemen, I am running out of time for this episode. I really need to get it out for you guys, but I'm super happy with the progress that we've made. So as always, if you watch this video all the way to the end, then you're the champ, and I appreciate your existence. And until we see each other next time, have a good one.